Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. Assalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah wa ala alihi wa ashabi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So what we're going to do here in this video is actually do a reading of the original letter that I sent to Mubarak Jilani, which prompted his response to call me a dog and everything else that happened after it. Even though I find this kind of ridiculous, we do go to great lengths to do what we can to try to guide even one person. So if this will help guide even one person, then we're willing to do whatever it takes for the Dawah purposes. The reason that I'm reading the letter is that one of the common ways that people that are stuck in the TMY cult deny the truth or deny trying to even like listen to what's being said or listen to the Dawah, in particular when it relates to myself, James Griffin, is that they say that the letter I wrote was disrespectful. So I'm going to read it in as close as I can to the tone that I intended. One thing that has to be remembered is that when you're reading text, 70% of communication is body language. So anybody can interpret text in the way that they want to. So if someone wants to interpret this as being disrespectful, they will interpret it as being disrespectful. But a person that is, being objective can see that this is clearly not disrespectful. And I went to great lengths to actually be very respectful when actually contacting Mubarak Jilani. I also will read I wrote a private response that I issued to several individuals after kind of like the mayhem started when I got kicked out the Jamaat and all these different things, because I was being contacted by a lot of individuals in response to the letter. And so I wrote another response that I issued privately, which I think is good to cover as well. So this recording does a couple things. It kind of shows my original tone that I intended for the letter, and it also provides a means for people to actually listen to what was written to Mubarak Jilani if they don't want to take the time to actually read. So I'll just get right into it. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. To Sheikh Mubarak Ali Shah Jilani, descendant of Allah's beloved holy last messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and vice chancellor of the Muslims of the Americas, TMOA. From Jafar ibn Abdulaziz, James Griffin, son of Abdulaziz and Alice Griffin, Talib and member of TMOA. I begin this letter in the name of Allah, the Beneficent and the Merciful. All praises and thanks belong to Allah, who is one, and none are worthy of worship except Him. I seek refuge in Allah from any evil within myself and others, and the consequences of bad deeds. Whoever Allah guides will never be led astray, and whoever Allah leads astray will never find guidance. I bear witness that there is no God except Allah, who has no partners, and that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is a servant of Allah and the last messenger, and is the last messenger ﷺ. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continually bless and send peace upon his beloved messenger, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, his family, his holy companions, and his community. Allah says, so high above all is Allah, the sovereign, the truth, and O Muhammad, do not hasten with recitation of the Quran before its revelation is completed to you, and say, my Lord, increase me in knowledge. I pray that you and your family are in good health and good conditions, and that Allah continues to shower His favor upon you. I do not want to waste your time nor stress you out unnecessarily. I will try to keep this letter on point as much as possible. I do realize that this letter may become lengthy due to the amount of material that is included. However, I believe that it will be better to include most of my questions in one letter rather than multiple letters. I am not claiming to be a scholar or pious individual. I am not claiming to know more than anyone else. In fact, I declare my ignorance and lack of knowledge, and ask Allah to pardon me for my mistakes, errors, and sins. I am only someone seeking knowledge and truth and reaching out to my Sheikh for guidance and clarity. I am writing this letter in order to increase my knowledge and understanding of various issues that have come up throughout my studies and life while being in the Jamaat. I have been heavily involved in studying and transcribing the vast majority of your discourses. I have been heavily involved, excuse me, I have spent the last 5.5 years engrossed in transcribing and turning into book form a total of 65 of your discourses. I have hesitated to write or address you because I usually ignore issues, and community members generally refrain from asking questions for a variety of reasons. The main reason is that asking questions is looked down upon and discouraged. Oftentimes, when individuals with questions approach the administration administration allude to the individual having spiritual issues. However, you frequently request listeners to submit questions. Since there is a general disconnect between the vast majority of community members and you due to having to go through middlemen to reach you, excluding any spiritual connection that may exist, I have previously asked questions to members of your administration. However, these questions generally go unanswered and are ignored. I am now compelled to attempt to reach out to you directly. I do ask that you give me the benefit of the doubt because all of my thoughts, feelings, intent, and meaning cannot be conveyed in this written form, and it's highly possible that some things may be misunderstood. My main intent for writing this letter is for clarification, guidance, and understanding. Membership dues. The first topic I need clarification on is the Jamaat membership dues. I'm addressing this topic first because it is apparently the most important aspect of being in the community. I say this because I have seen where individuals guilty of major sins have remained on lands and in the community, and individuals who have a few $100s of unpaid membership dues have been forced to leave the community. We have individuals that are accused of and guilty of adultery, domestic violence, sexual abuse, family neglect, and other things, but still remain in the community while individuals that have become delinquent under membership dues are suspended. Years ago, I was told that membership dues was the way that community members pay their obligation for zakat. This could have just been my ignorance, or ignorance on my part, or a misunderstanding on the part of whoever informed me. I was also told that this money went to you so that you could provide for the poor and needy Muslims around the world, and that the money was never spent on your own needs. Several years ago, the administration required members to provide documentation proving their income. At this time, I was informed that membership dues has nothing to do with zakat. I also found out that the Jamaat has no means for collecting zakat. When I asked if the administration would provide documentation showing where and what the membership dues are spent on, since they are requiring members to provide proof of their income, I was told that this was the equivalent of accusing you and the administration of dishonest activity. I attended a meeting where it was said that membership dues are fees that members of TMOA pay for the right to belong to the community or club that you are the president of this club, and that we do not receive anything in return for these fees. What exactly are membership dues? Many individuals still believe that membership dues are zakat. We are told that paying these dues purifies our earnings, which is typically said about zakat. What is the money spent on? It does not seem right that our community pays all this money and we aren't allowed to know where this money is spent. Why is it secret? We have separate collections for the needy, community land expenses, land taxes, Eids, masjids, schools, etc. This money is collected and the community is neglected. We have makeshift schools and unfinished masjids. How can we say that we have a masjid that holds the greatest miracle of all time and it remains unfinished and falling apart. How can we say we value education for our youth when we don't invest in our schools? The majority of community members live in the cities and are trying to move to community lands, which are running out of space. In addition, they can't save enough money to afford the relocation. Money has been invested in properties in Pakistan that will only benefit the handful of individuals that actually get a chance to travel there to visit you. Is the money used for stipends for the administration? If administrators receive stipends, is there any way to determine how much they received and how much they should be entitled to? Why can't the administration provide an accounting of all funds? Our community has advanced in some areas, but still does not provide the community with information regarding all the money that is collected for membership dues. It is very easy to calculate that it only takes approximately 500 individuals working full-time, only making $10 per hour, from the membership dues collections to exceed $1 million a year. Considering all that is needed in our community, one will begin to wonder what our priorities are. It also makes a person question statements like, "We have nothing to hide." Are membership dues more important than zakat? An individual has to pay their membership dues off of anything except for welfare benefits. Zakat is only due from specific individuals who have enough money or have enough wealth to meet the requirements of paying zakat. Zakat is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, but not applicable when a person has a certain amount of wealth. Although Allah has excused the poor from this requirement, why are membership dues imposed on the poor when Allah excused them from zakat? In addition, we have no means of paying zakat in our community. This makes it appear as if membership dues are more important. We have membership dues collectors, but no system to calculate nor collect individuals' zakat. This is dangerous since there are narrations that warn of punishments for neglecting zakat. There seems something wrong with the fact that an individual can neglect zakat, which will technically take them out of the folds of Islam, but be current with membership dues and remain in the folds of the Jamaat. Individuals that ask for proof of where the money goes shouldn't be looked down upon. It is very difficult for some people to give up a significant portion of their income and have no idea what it is being spent on. In fact, I believe that providing a full accounting will actually help collections because people like to see where their money is going and what it is benefiting. As of right now, people pay hundreds of thousands of dollars and do not see any result of their money. Money is the most emphasized aspect in our community. The emphasis on membership dues does not include all of the other expenses and collections that members of the community are very strongly encouraged and pressured to contribute to, nor any other mandatory collections that an individual might have to pay. An individual has to worry about all these fees and collections and staying current or in good standing, and the needs of their family are often neglected or put down on the list of priorities. Many individuals are faced with the choice of either paying their membership dues or neglecting some need of their family. I'm not trying to promote the idea that individuals should not sacrifice and contribute to the community. However, a person's sacrifice should bear fruit. As of right now, there is no evidence provided to show the people's sacrifice are bearing fruit. I don't feel that it is right for an Islamic organization to continually enforce fees on its poor community members without providing an accounting of these funds, especially when there are many neglected needs within the community. Double standards. I have seen many instances that appear to be cases where there has been double standards applied. I would like to know if it is permissible to enforce one ruling on one individual and then another ruling on another individual when both individuals are involved in the same situation. From the appearance, it seems as if this violates general Islamic principles of justice and equality. Furthermore, it appears that individuals that have a closer connection to or better relationship with administration get better treatment. In addition, there are instances in which we are told that you have admonished administrators for certain actions and even removed them from their position, and later other administrators commit these same actions. When these administrators are asked about these issues, they refuse to provide any clarity. Adultery. We have situations in which men are guilty of adultery and receive different punishments. One individual can be kicked out of the community and divorced from his wife. Another will get public physical punishment as well as a period of confinement and diet restriction. Another will get secret punishment. Another won't get any punishment at all. These are 4 different treatments for the same sin. I pray that Allah forgives and conceals all of our sins. These situations remind me of the incident in which Allah narrates in the Holy Quran, where the punishment for fornication was changed due to the wealth and status of the individual involved. Living conditions. I was specifically told that you had given advice to live simply. It is commonly taught that we should not be worldly. However, the leaders of our community drive expensive cars and build elaborate homes. The common members of the community struggle from check to check, but see their leaders, some of which who do not have employment, with the best material possessions in the community and the best living conditions. This seems in contrast to how Rasulullah lived his life. If we are encouraged to live like travelers in this world and not be concerned with worldly and material possessions, then why isn't this example shown to us by our leaders and administrators? How can an administrator deliver advice and direction from you and not follow, to the best of their ability, the same advice and direction? If someone steps back and looks at the condition of the people of our community, they will see a disparity between how the leaders live and how the general public live. Politics. The administration informed the community that we aren't allowed to vote for political elections nor be involved in politics at all. It was further elaborated that this restriction applied to all levels of politics and government. However, we can see that individuals that are connected to the administration, or at least known by the administration, are allowed to run for public office. Public school. We have seen individuals and families removed from the community for sending their children to public school, non-Muslim education sources. However, there are individuals who are known who send their children to public schools. There are individuals that are intentionally overlooked and or given consent to allow their children to attend public schools, while other individuals are punished for it. Social media. It has been emphasized that members of the community are not allowed to be on social media, and that you have declared social media haram. Individuals have been removed from the community and prevented from returning to the community because they had social media accounts. However, many members of the administration have multiple social media accounts, and they also know and are connected to many other individuals in the community, other administrators and non-administrators that have social media accounts. If social media is haram, how is anybody allowed to do haram? When I asked this question to your administration, I was given the example of pork being haram, but when starving, an individual can eat pork to survive. However, this exception is available to all Muslims, not just the Muslim leaders. However, this exception is available to all Muslims, not just the Muslim leaders, their friends and family, and individuals who they allow. Finally, the main communication platform used by the community, WhatsApp, is actually considered social media, and it is owned and operated by Facebook, the largest social media service. Many of the things that you can do on Facebook that promote haram interactions are also available on WhatsApp. Riba. We know that riba, interest, is forbidden in Islam. You stress this in your discourses. However, individuals are allowed and even encouraged to engage in riba. Individuals engage in riba for vehicle and home purchases. Individuals were even allowed to engage in riba to purchase a vehicle as a gift for one of your sons. May Allah bless him and his family. Sufficient money was raised to purchase a vehicle. However, riba was engaged in to purchase a more expensive vehicle. Is it permissible for certain situations to engage in riba? Nursing careers. Recently, we were informed that working in the nursing field and pursuing these types of careers is forbidden. It was warned that this directive must be followed and that those that do not follow the directive will not remain among us. However, many people, even individuals among administration and with close ties to administration, have still been pursuing education and careers in this field. Attitude of administration. Hear and obey is the main theme backing administrative authority in our community. Community members are reminded time and time again to just hear and obey. We know that we are supposed to hear and obey Allah, His Messenger, and those placed in authority over us. It is drilled into us that we are not allowed to ask questions, we are not allowed to have ideas, and we are not allowed to have individual thought. To such an extent that I once brought an idea before a member of your administration and was told that we are not supposed to bring ideas before you and that we're supposed to sit and wait to be told what to do. Everything must be done in accordance with a generally accepted thought pattern which is handed down from the leaders and administrators of the community. In addition, since it is believed and pushed that since Rasulullah receives his commands from Allah, you receive your commands directly from Rasulullah and or Allah, and you appointed the administrators, that the administrators cannot be at fault. This is because, through association, the administration's actions are being ordered by Allah and Rasulullah. Therefore, we are not to have questions about anything. In fact, we are told that we are not to question commands even if they apparently appear to be haram. For instance, we are told that if we are commanded to walk off a cliff, then we should walk off of the cliff with no questions asked. However, there was an incident in which a commander who was appointed by Rasulullah was questioned by those he was placed in charge of. In this particular situation, Rasulullah said that if the individuals would have listened to the commander's order, then both the commander and the individuals obeying his order would have been in the fire. This concept of infallibility largely comes from the concept that all the sultans are free from any sins, mistakes, or errors. This is because they are perfect and offer perfect guidance that is on par with the guidance of Rasulullah. I'm not saying this to suggest that community members should not hear and obey. However, the community culture has promoted a distance between community members and administration. In addition, it is thought that you are aware of every detail of every talib in the community, and therefore aware of any wrong that your administration is doing. However, you cannot act until Allah reveals it. Therefore, members usually tolerate or ignore any wrongs because they believe that you know about them and will deal with them eventually. The administration usually approach community members with a harsh and arrogant attitude. You have said in your discourses that an individual's deputies should reflect the individual who deputized them. I do not believe that the administration reflects how you would deal with members of the community. If your administration represents you and how you deal with the community, then I see two different people when looking at how you are represented in your discourses and how your administration represents you. Overall, the administration seems to have the attitude that community members are here to serve them, whereas leaders should be servants of the people. In your discourses, you have warned leaders about becoming arrogant, prideful, and harsh. I have been in meetings where community members have tried to discuss their legitimate concerns and have been dismissed, laughed at, ignored, and talked down to. I have personally been told by members of the administration that they don't owe explanations to anyone. I was told that I was a nobody and I could be physically dealt with. It was even attempted to persuade me to lead the, I was even attempted to it was even attempted to persuade me to lead the community. Many issues that are brought up by community members are ignored. Recently, a meeting was called to see how the community was doing and what members' concerns were. Some individuals brought up their questions and concerns, and each individual was treated in a negative manner. The meeting wasn't sincere and was only held because you told them to have the meeting. The aura surrounding the administration is one of secrecy, self-dealing, nepotism, privilege, abuse, harshness, and injustice. People have been ignored, targeted, threatened, and attacked. Things like this happen too often, and most people have become so accustomed to this that these types of wrongs get ignored and swept under the rug. I feel that if this attitude that the administration has towards common community members does not change, great damage will be done. Marriage. This is an issue that seems to be getting worse by the day in our community. Years ago, it was made known that no community member could get a divorce without seeking counsel from the administration. A contract agreement was also signed by many members of the community. This seemed to be done to try and deal with the issue of the increasing number of divorces in the community and men casually divorcing their wives only to regret their actions later. Now, we still have men who divorce their wives and even pronounce 3 divorces, but still remain married because everything has been reduced to whether or not a piece of paper can be found. There are situations where individuals wait long periods of time to hear from administration on whether they are married or not because they are looking for a copy of the contract/oath, even if the individuals involved acknowledge that they signed it. In cases where the contract isn't found, administration then decides whether they are married or not, and it appears that there are vast differences in how these decisions are made. Even when the individual has pronounced 3 divorces, different rulings are applied. Community members have different understandings of divorce due to the lack of being informed and the vast differences in rulings. I always believed that the oath/contract/agreement signed did not take our right to divorce away. If an individual pronounced a divorce on his wife, they would still be divorced, but the individual would be in violation of breaking his oath. There are several interpretations that exist in the community. The result is that individuals use divorce, the oath/contract, and administrative decisions to enter in and out of marriages as it suits them. There are individuals who pronounce 3 divorces in one sitting, abandon their families, and wait to be told that they are still married. This happens whether or not the individuals had full intentions on divorce or not. The oath has become a scapegoat for individuals to use to get back with their ex-wives. There's also the practice of muta or halala. You have condemned these practices in your discourses and said that they are absolutely haram. However, it has been stated by your administration that you have approved and directed for halalas to be done. You have stated that there is no marriage without the intent of the marriage lasting forever. However, it was said that situations have arose when arrangements have been made for individuals to temporarily marry a lady, consummate the marriage, then immediately divorce her in order to allow her to marry her previous husband. This does not seem proper. I believe that there is even a hadith regarding the individuals involved in and organizing a halala are cursed. May Allah protect us may Allah protect us. In light of this, it seems that this is something that we should stay far away from. Jamaat teachings. I have several questions that have come up while studying your discourses and learning certain Jamaat teachings and beliefs. Again, you encourage individuals to submit questions and concerns. It is even related that Ibn Abbas radiallahu an, was asked about how he became knowledgeable, and he stated that it was because he had an inquisitive tongue. I believe that there is more benefit when doing actions with proper understanding. You have also emphasized that Islam is not a matter of blind faith, and that it is totally scientific, logical, and a matter of common sense. You have also emphasized the importance of following the Holy Quran and Sunnah, that you cannot say anything of your own accord, and that you are in line with the known ulama and mufassirin. If the entirety of Islam is based on the Holy Quran and Sunnah, logic, science, and common sense, then the different aspects within Islam should be the same. I am hoping that you can provide clarification on these issues. Seven sultans. Is this general concept supported by Holy Quran or Hadith? I have not found any support for this concept besides the writings of Sultan Bahu, Rahimullah, who claims to be the fifth sultan. He also identifies all the previous sultans. However, I have not found any indication in even the works of the previous sultans about this concept. If this is an accepted concept within Islam, why is there no mention of this by the Holy Quran, Hadith, nor the previous sultans? Is this secret information? I have noticed that this concept is not generally taught in your discourses, and the information on this topic is in special and restricted writings. However, it is taught through word of mouth and passed down through generations. Why isn't this actively taught so that members can have a correct understanding? Also, why is it not taught to Muslims in general? I do not claim to have access or know all the sources that could possibly support this concept. I just would like to know if there are any authentic sources that support it. Are individuals in the community mandated to believe and follow these concepts? Do the sultans hold a higher status than prophets, holy companions, or Imam Mahdi alayhi salam? In my mind, I would think that a direct spark of nur from Allah or Rasulullah sallallahu, who is a spark of the nur of Allah, would have a higher status than anything that was not created directly from that nur. If only the seven sultans have this special distinction, it would seem that their status is only below Rasul sallallahu. This would be above the prophets and holy companions. In addition, you have mentioned in your discourses that it is no big deal to meet Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, compared to Imam Mahdi alayhi salam meeting you, and that your job is harder than his. From this, I understand that you, being the sixth sultan, have a higher status than Imam Mahdi. In addition, in Kashful Mahjub, it is described that the concept that the uncreated, Allah's Nur, being part of the created as a deviant idea. Ali Hajwari, Rahimullah, mentioned that this concept is among the deviant sects of Sufi and that the uncreated cannot mix with the created. Is this concept misunderstood? Also, one of the core elements of Islamic learning of knowledge is that everything must have a chain. Sheikhs and scholars must have a chain. hadiths must have authentic chains, and scholars must have authentic scholarship in Islamic sciences. Even the written Holy Quran was put together with great emphasis placed on authenticating on authentic sources and chains. Scholars that are self-taught are criticized. Even Ghazul Azam has a chain, Rahimullah has a chain of sheikhs and teachers that can be traced back to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and he also attended Islamic University. However, Sultan Bahu, Rahimullah, is said to have been taught in the spiritual world and given sheikh status by Ghazul Azam, Rahimullah, in the spiritual world as well. I have inquired about the chain of your sheikhs, and no answer was given. Do you have a chain of sheikhs or silsila that go back to Rasul Sallallahu? And have you attended any Islamic institutions or education? And have you attended any Islamic institutions of education, or does everything come through the spiritual world? Holy Court of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. You have mentioned in your discourses about the court of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, where the affairs of this world are managed by him, holy companions, and other awliya. You have said that you are able to bring individuals to this court and do it all the time. In many writings by notable Sufi sheikhs, it is stated that a perfect murshid has the ability to bring a talib in the presence of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and to annihilation just by giving them a glance. Is it permissible for you to take me there? What does one have to do to be given the honor of going to the courts of Rasulullah? Have any of your tabs or administration been there? How can one verify the truth of these statements? It seems that these claims can only be proven or supported by direct experience. There are other individuals outside of our community that have similar claims. Some even claim to be the 6th and 7th sultans themselves. If a seeker is only left with the direct experience to verify these claims, how else can a seeker verify the correctness of his path without his sheikh exposing him to this experience? Announcement of Imam Mahdi. In one of your discourses delivered approximately 10 years ago, you announced that Imam Mahdi alayhi salam is alive in this world and that he will appear in a couple of years. Was this a literal statement? How soon will Imam Mahdi appear? You state that he wasn't 40 years old at that time. How old is he now? You have also mentioned that Imam Mahdi alayhi salam is from your family. Does this refer to your immediate family or the general family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which includes all Ahlul Bayt? Habs, the practice of holding breath. In one of your discourses, you describe a dhikr technique in which one holds and releases their breath in a particular manner. In Sultan Bahu's book, he mentions that this type of practice is done by the wrongdoers and is useless. He also says that we should stay away from such wrong practitioners of religion. How does this relate to the practice you describe in your discourse? Saints in Dreams. Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani, rahimahullah, states that the devil cannot take the form of saints. He uses the logic that the devil can't take the form of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When someone sees Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he really sees him, and that haqq and batil do not mix. If this applies to saints as well, as described by Ghazul Azam, then if an individual sees you in a dream, does this mean it is really you? Madhab. We are taught that it is not proper to mix and match rulings from various madhabs, and that we should adhere to following only one madhab. I am no expert. However, it appears some of the rulings that we follow are outside of the Hanafi madhab. Are we allowed to adopt rulings outside of our madhab if our sheikh gives the ruling? If this is the case, then what is the limit for adopting various sheikhs' rulings? Obligatory before optional. I was informed that we must do that which is obligatory before that which is optional. This was in regards to completing Umrah before completing Hajj. I was told that an individual should complete Hajj first because it is obligatory and Umrah is only optional. Does this also apply to individuals that perform many trips back and forth to Pakistan and have not completed Hajj? If an individual can afford many trips to Pakistan, wouldn't they be liable for neglecting Hajj when they had the means to complete this act? I was told by an administrator that traveling to Pakistan takes precedence over Umrah and Hajj. Summary. This lengthy letter is still not enough to express my thoughts, concerns, and questions. I have tried my best to convey these issues. In light of the current culture in the community, how questions and concerns are generally dealt with, and how things are usually treated within this community. I do not expect that this letter will get to you, and possibly won't be addressed at all. However, I must do my part to seek knowledge. I expect that I will be looked down upon and criticized, and my general iman will be questioned. I try my best to only fear Allah and trust in Him. If I believe something is right, pleasing to Allah, and will eventually get me closer to Him, I do not fear anyone else. If I am misguided, if I am wrong, if my understandings and beliefs are lame, I only ask that you and your administration treat me how you have stated that you treat your flock. If you are my shepherd and I am the lame lamb, then pick me up and carry me to safety. I try my best to have an open mind and accept truth, even if it is be against myself. I pray that there is benefit in this letter and that Allah protects and guides all of us. I am hoping to get a response from you that will answer my questions and concerns. I thank you for your time. May Allah continually bless you and your family. May Allah send countless peace and blessings on Rasulullah Sallallahu, his family, his companions, and his community. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So that's the letter. Rereading, I just noticed a bunch of typos and mistakes, but that's the letter. I tried to, it took a little while to read it, but I tried my best to read it with, the tone that I intended. I could have read it in a very sarcastic, arrogant, challenging tone, but that wasn't my intent to address the sheikh that way. I wanted to be very respectful, and I wanted the response from the sheikh to actually, I wanted the response to actually address my questions and concerns. So which we'll talk later about on one of the shows eventually, inshallah. But the other thing I wanted to read is the response I issued to a handful of individuals after I started receiving a lot of questions, feedback, threats, and all different things after sending this letter to the sheikh. So this is the private response to the situation. This was before the divorces happened, and in between the time when the sheikh called me a barking dog, and there was like community meetings about me, and people were putting up statuses about me. I was getting threats, I was getting insults, and all sorts of things. But a lot of people actually reached out to show their support. And they had questions. They had questions about my intent. They had questions about the Jilani's response and the administration's response. And because I was getting so many calls and questions about it, I decided to just write a response and send it to these individuals so that they can address it. So another 10-page letter. So this will be it, and then inshallah we'll post the video and you guys can access it yourself. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. From James, aka Jafar ibn Abdul Aziz, to those whom have reached out to me seeking truth. All thanks and praise are due to Allah. We seek His help and forgiveness. We seek refuge in Allah from the evil within ourselves and the consequences of our evil deeds. Whoever Allah guides will never be led astray, and whoever Allah leads astray will never find guidance. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, alone, without any partners, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his servant and his messenger. Allah the Exalted said, O you who have believed, fear Allah as he should be feared, and do not die except as Muslims in submission to him. And the Exalted said, O mankind, fear your Lord, who created you from one soul, and created from it its mate, and dispersed from both of them many men and women, and fear Allah, through whom you ask one another, and the wombs. Verily Allah is ever watching over you. And the Exalted said, O you who have believed, fear Allah and speak words of appropriate justice. He will then amend for you your deeds and forgive your sins. And whoever obeys Allah and his messenger has certainly attained a great attainment. I have been compelled to respond to the hearsay, accusations, and controversy surrounding my recent dismissal. I am only writing this letter to those who actually had the courage, strength, and genuine concern to actually reach out to me through various means to offer words of encouragement and support, and to practice the sunnah of getting both sides of a story before making a judgment. I commend you, and may Allah bless you. Khalifa Ali, Karamallahu Wajhu, narrated that Rasulullah said, when two men come to you seeking judgment, do not judge for the first until you have heard the statement of the other. Soon you will know how to judge. Narrated in Tirmidhi. I do not want this to become a public letter, because I do not want to create or increase any fitna within the community or my family. However, I wanted to give a response to those who have shown that they are willing to listen, since you will most likely be in positions in which you may need to know my position on this whole spectacle. This may be because you may find the need to defend me and or yourself, and having a complete picture will help in those situations. Warning, this letter may become lengthy. I tend to be long-winded, but inshallah, this will be an easy read. I will try my best to stick to Jamaat-accepted sources and give context where needed. I submitted a private letter to be delivered to Shah Sahib on February 4th, 2018. Prior to actually sending the letter, I sent the letter to a handful of close companions to get their opinions, consultations, and advice. I purposely sent it to individuals that I could trust and that would each offer me a unique perspective. This is because getting advice from people who think the same as you, or who all think alike, will not be seeking advice at all. It would actually be seeking to hear what you want to hear. I then finally submitted the letter after considering their feedback. Not one of these individuals advised me not to send the letter. The closest advice that I received in that regard was that one individual stated that I should try to find a way to send the letter anonymously in order to avoid any potential fallout or negative reactions from the administration. Most individuals stated that they share the majority of my concerns and have the same questions, to such an extent that it was even stated that they were going to write a similar letter as well. There was a consensus of doubt that the letter would actually ever reach Shah Sahib. I had the same doubts. To help increase the chances of this private letter actually reaching Shah Sahib, I sent it to the Shura Council email, Shura Secretary email, 3 Shura Council members, and 2 of Shah Sahib's wives. The following message was sent along with the letter, along with notifying each recipient of who else the letter was sent to. I pray all is well with you and your family. I am requesting that the attached letter be sent to Abuji. I have sent this letter to multiple administrators listed below with hopes of decreasing the chances of it being ignored. If possible, can an administrator confirm that this letter will be delivered, inshallah? Shukran, may Allah bless. The letter was delivered at approximately 4 a.m., and I received a response from Shah Sahib around 6 a.m. I have written other letters to Shah Sahib and the Shura Council in the past, in which I have not received a response to this day. I have written letters with serious concerns and followed up with multiple letters for months, and have never received a response. However, this letter, due to its content, was responded to in only a couple of hours. To my disbelief, my beloved Sheikh responded with the following words: "Dogs will keep on barking, the caravan will keep on moving." I did not believe that Shah Sahib actually said these words. This is what I have trained myself to do. I have developed a relationship with Shah Sahib through the very limited means in which I have been exposed to him and his teachings. I have watched the vast majority of his discourses and have spent the last 6 years of my life transcribing and studying his discourses word for word. However, I say that this is limited because I actually do not know him and only know him through my own perceptions of being exposed to his videos, writings, word of mouth, and third parties. Due to my understanding of who I believe Shah Sahib is and what he is about, I automatically disconnect any negativity that could possibly be associated with him and put it on the administration. So if someone from administration says something that I believe isn't fitting for the person I believe Shah Sahib is, then I will believe that the administration is twisting his words. So this is what I believed. Of course, the barking dogs comment was delivered via a third party. I respectively asked if my letter could be delivered directly to Shah Sahib so that I could get a response directly from him. I was immediately contacted by another administrator that confirmed that these words was the response from Shah Sahib regarding my letter. I received no other response regarding my letter from Shah Sahib. However, I received some other negative responses from the individuals who I sent the letter to. I was insulted, called names, and slandered. Some individuals cut family ties with me. I was accused of being shaitanic and driven by shaitan. I was insulted in other ways that aren't necessary to mention. The main point is that my response from Shah Sahib was being compared to a dog, and the response from the administration was other insults. Still, I am an individual with very thick skin. I was not upset, and still not upset. The few people that I shared these responses with were more upset than me, and I just advised them to be calm, patient, make dua for them, and try to behave as Rasulullah would have if he were in this situation. I only gave this lengthy background to dispel any thoughts or accusations that I sent my letter to create fitna, cause disruption, or with any bad intentions. As you can see, I practiced the sunnah by seeking advice before even sending the letter. I did not publicly issue the letter. I sent it privately to the Shura Council so that it can be delivered to Shah Sahib. If I had a direct connection to Shah Sahib, I would have only sent it to him. However, we know that sending something directly to him is impossible. Everything goes through a middleman. Even after the negative and disgusting responses I received, I still kept it private and only disclosed details to those very close to me who also kept it very private. This was no attempt to create fitna, and my intentions are stated quite clear in the letter. While nobody can actually know an individual's intentions besides the law, we can get a glimpse of an individual's intentions by their actions. However, even then, someone's actions may betray their actual intentions. However, with knowing all of my actions up to sending the letter and after receiving my response, what honest individual could come to the determination that I had bad intentions? Still, I do not blame anyone that believes I had bad intentions, for everyone is allowed to believe whatever they want. I only fear Allah and take comfort in knowing that Allah knows my intentions even better than I do. There are other things that that will probably be said to try and build a case about my bad intentions, but I believe this information will suffice. But just in case trivial accusations are made known that I was but just in case trivial accusations are made known that I was always in a state of okay. But just in case trivial accusations are made, know that I was always in a state of purification when working on the letter. I make all my salats. I started the letter in the name of Allah and sending salawat on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I submitted the letter at the Hajj time in order that Allah may be more apt to guide my actions. These statements may seem silly, but I have no doubt that they will be necessary. All in all, my intentions of the letter should not be relevant because only Allah is allowed to judge my intentions, and Muslims are only allowed to judge on outward acts. Even Rasulullah has stated that he was not sent here to judge the in people's hearts. Rasulullah said, I have not been ordered to investigate the hearts of the people, nor to rip open their bellies. Bukhari and Muslim. What did I have to gain from writing this letter besides truth? If I had bad intentions, there must have been some benefit to my actions. I have just finished a 6-year project for Shah Sahib that has placed me in his good graces. Whenever my name was mentioned to him, I was told that he would smile and be happy, and refer to me as the one who is doing my books for me. This same project that earned me a personal invite by Shah Sahib to visit him. Several retreats ago, I earned the title of Best Overall. I was not at a place of being disgruntled with the administration, Shah Sahib, or TMOA. In reality, I had nothing to gain and everything to lose by writing the letter. However, seeking clarification and truth, an attempt to get closer to Allah, far outweighs any worldly consequences for seeking such information. We are told many times about the importance of seeking knowledge. If someone is going to question my intent, then they have to question what my goals were and what benefit I would receive from those goals. Common sense prevails in most situations. For almost 2 weeks, I did not receive any additional communication from Shah Sahib nor the Shura Council. On February 17th, I was hand-delivered a dismissal notice by someone who was not an administrator in any capacity. This dismissal notice did not state any reason for my dismissal from TMOA. It referred to a reference to Jamaat famous ayat from the Holy Quran used to emphasize the importance of hearing and obeying. O you who have believed, obey Allah and obey the Messenger and those in authority among you. Then if you quarrel about something, revert it back to Allah and the Messenger if you should believe in Allah and the last day. That is good and the best at the end. Here, I must quickly address this severely misused ayat with evidence from Shah Sahib's teachings and from sources recommended by Shah Sahib to study. When studying the Holy Quran, Shah Sahib emphasizes studying the Asbab al-Nuzul, or the reason for revelation. Without knowing the reason for the revelation or any particular ayat, you cannot fully understand its meaning, context, and how to implement its meaning in your life. One must also know that the Mufassirin say about the ayat, one must also know what the Mufassirin say about the ayat to get a clear understanding. Nobody can deny the fact that, as Muslims, we must hear and obey Allah and Rasulullah. This is without question, and denying this takes you out of the folds of Islam. We are also directed to hear and obey those whom are in authority over us. What does this mean? Rasulullah made dua for Allah to give Hadra Abdullah ibn Abbas understanding of the Quran. Hadra ibn Abbas, Abdullah ibn Abbas narrated, once the Prophet embraced me and said, "O Allah, teach him the understanding of the Holy Quran." It's in Bukhari. Shah Sahib quotes Hadra ibn Abbas in many discourses and has also said that he is the chief of the Mufassirin. In addition, Hasan Basri, rahimahullah, is a well-known and accepted scholar and also considered the second sultan. This information is important when considering what these blessed individuals have said in explanation of the ayat commanding us to hear and obey. The portion of the ayat commanding us to hear and obey those in authority among you is commonly used to refer to the administration and shura council. This is very true. We should obey our leaders. I ask, in what way did I disobey Allah, Rasulullah, or any of the administrators? However, let's add more context to the ayat given by the two notable figures named above. They have described that those in authority amongst you does not refer to the administrators, governors, or rulers of the community, but actually refers to the scholars and jurists. They explain that the rulers, in fact, are required to follow the scholars, and following the rulers is contingent on them following the scholars. The ayat then tells us to refer everything back to Allah and Rasulullah. In other words, back to the Holy Quran and Sunnah. I do not offer this explanation to claim that I am a scholar. I freely and willingly admit that I am far from being a scholar. I also am not accusing any of the leaders and administrators of not being scholars. Allah knows best their Islamic scholarship. This is just to show that I actually followed the command given by Allah, which they lead their dismissal letter with. So this is to show that I actually follow the command given by Allah, which they lead their dismissal letter with. I had a dispute, questions, concerns, disagreements, in which I referred to someone who is an authority amongst us. This individual, being my sheikh, so many accusations of me not hearing or obeying should immediately be dismissed, especially when understanding this ayat more. Finally, even more context is gained when understanding the actual incident that happened which caused Allah to reveal the ayat to Rasulullah. You may reference Tafsir Ibn Kathir, which is used by Shah Sahib in many discourses. I shall summarize the incident. Imam Ahmed, rahimahullah, narrated that this ayat was revealed about a Sahaba who was sent on a military expedition by Rasulullah. Now consider the importance of hearing and obeying during a military expedition compared to daily life. The commander, who was directly appointed by Rasulullah, became angry with the troops that were commanded to follow him. He ordered that they build a fire and then walk into the fire as punishment. These people built a fire and were almost ready to walk into it. However, a youth amongst them spoke up and refused and advised the people to take the situation to Rasulullah. They reported it to Rasulullah. Rasulullah said, "Had you entered the fire, you would never have departed from it. Obedience is only in righteousness." Bukhari and Muslim. This incident not only adds more context, but also shows that I followed the exact path of that young Sahaba who took the issue to Rasulullah for answers. I had questions and concerns and took those questions and concerns to the highest authority available. This also shows that if you believe something to be wrong, that it is your right and duty to question it and seek clarification. Rasulullah did not insult nor condemn the young Sahaba for not obeying his commander, and asking questions. In fact, that young Sahaba saved himself and saved others from hell. Do not get me wrong. I'm not trying to imply that our administration is commanding us to do unrighteous activities nor leading us to hell. This is only to show support for my actions and give clarification of the ayat that was used as support for my dismissal. The letter then continued with general wording about the values of TMOA, the guidance of Shah Sahib, the miracle in the Islamic Masjid, and following the Sunnah. Then a statement was given in which is the closest thing given in the dismissal notice as a reason for my dismissal. Therefore, we do not wish to punish anyone who cannot pull along with us. As such, you, Jafar Abdulaziz, aka James Griffin, are hereby notified that you are officially dismissed from the community of TMOA. From this, one can interpret that I am being dismissed because of my inability to pull along or keep up. It also implies that they do not wish to punish me. From what I understand, dismissal from the community is the worst and final punishment for anybody in the community. If they did not wish to punish me, then why did they punish me? If being dismissed is not a punishment, then is it a reward? In regards to the dismissal notice saying that I cannot pull along, Shah Sahib has said something very eloquent on the topic of members of the community who cannot pull along. He said, I want you to pull all your effort in the direction of being together in the hereafter. We have to be together in the hereafter. You are the flock of Rasulullah, and I am your shepherd. I have to see that all of you reach the goal. We will even carry the lame lamb as long as you remain followers. Even if you are a lame, weak, or a bad Muslim, we will carry you along. Do not leave us. Here we learn that we are supposed to carry those who cannot pull along, just as Shah Sahib instructs us to carry the lame lamb. We are supposed to carry each other along if one of us becomes lame, weak, or even a bad Muslim. Of course, if this is mentioned, some may selectively pull out the phrases, as long as you remain followers, and do not leave us, to support my reward of dismissal. However, know that I did not leave the community, nor request to be removed from the community, nor denied being a follower of Shah Sahib or a member of TMOA. In fact, if someone uses common sense, they will realize that someone who was not a follower and who was not a member of TMOA would not need to be dismissed. This is because you cannot be dismissed from something that you do not follow nor belong to. I don't wish to dwell on the discrepancies in wordplay of the dismissal letter. This is because I know why I was dismissed. I also believe that the issues in the dismissal letter are a result of the authors of the letter doing their best to dismiss me from the community in a professional manner while being as vague as possible and not providing any actual stated reason in writing. This gives them the freedom of verbally stating reasons to other members of the community of my dismissal without being held to any official administrative stance. This gives leeway for someone to adjust the severity of my offense and the reason for my dismissal at will. Very simply, I know I was dismissed because I asked questions that shouldn't be asked, won't be answered, and can't be answered. Even though I can guess the reason of my dismissal, I was dismissed without giving any official reason, explanation, nor communication from administration. The only official response I had was Shah Sahib's barking dog comment. The next day, I found out that a nationwide mandatory community meeting was being held by the Shura Council. Look at the timeline of this. I sent a private letter to Shah Sahib, was given barking dog response in same day, no contact for 2 weeks, hand-delivered a dismissal letter with no explanation nor reasoning, and an administration had planned a nationwide meeting with the community without explaining anything to me. A nationwide meeting was held to answer select questions from my letter to the community, but no response or answers were ever given to the author of the letter. Also, a private letter was answered publicly, and no answer was ever given to the person who wrote the letter. At retreats, we are usually taught to memorize 40 basic hadiths. I will provide the hadiths and Shah Sahib's commentary on them. Please do not take it out of context. I am not accusing anyone of being a munafiq or a kafir. Rasulullah said, a majlis, private meeting, is a trust. It's in Abu Dawood. Shah Sahib's commentary says, whatever you hear discussed in a majlis, official or private meeting, must not be disclosed to others. Rasulullah said, one who is consulted must keep it secret. Tirmidhi. Sheikh Jilani said, many people in need of advice, help, or guidance go to some trusted and respected members of the society with a view to find a solution for their problems. During that counsel, the person might divulge his secrets or confidential matters. Therefore, the Holy Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, commands that whoever is consulted, he should never divulge the secrets of the meeting to others, because this amounts to breach of trust and is one of the signs of the munafiq, who is considered worse than a kafir. I'm sure members of the administration will say that they attempted to answer my questions due to a last-minute stunt that was attempted a little more than an hour before the meeting. A member of the Shura Council messaged me the morning of the meeting stating that a non-administrator has my response. I informed this individual that they can email me the response or send it via messenger. Of course, I was told that this response had to be verbal. Keep in mind that I have already been dismissed from the community, but now there is supposedly a response. I specifically asked the individual if the response was from Shah Sahib, and the individual refused to answer. Great emphasis was placed on me meeting with this individual ASAP, with no regards to my personal or family schedule. I told the individual that the non-administrator who was delivering the message can contact me directly to set up a time to meet. This individual called me and again stressed that we must meet at that exact moment. I informed the individual that I was busy and could meet later that afternoon or evening. This person then informed me that it was something that he had to read and it shouldn't take long. I then asked him to go ahead and read it over the phone, in which he refused. He then said they would get back to me about meeting later that day. I was never contacted again. Allah knows best the purpose of this whole incident. This meeting was held, the national meeting, and I can only comment on what happened at the meeting based on third-party sources. I was told that this meeting was held to address my letter. It was stated that it was expressly said by the administrators that they don't have to explain anything to anyone. Then they proceeded to, quote, answer some of the questions in my letter. However, it was very clear from what I have heard that they cherry-picked select questions that they were willing to answer and then gave vague answers to those questions. A lot of emphasis was placed on painting me and my letter in a certain light. I do not wish to comment too much on what happened at the various nationwide meetings, but just want to show the issue with a nationwide community meeting being held in regards to a private letter and the administration deciding to answer certain questions to the community while neglecting to answer any questions to the individual who asked them. Anyone with common sense and eyes can infer the reasons for this. I do, however, want to cherry pick some statements from my letter to rebut any negative connotation or image being portrayed about me or my letter by the administration cherry picking certain elements of my letter to share with the community. I pray that you and your family are in good health and good conditions, and that Allah continues to shower His favor upon you. I do not want to waste your time nor stress you out unnecessarily. I am not claiming to be a scholar or pious individual. I am not claiming to know more than anyone else. In fact, I declare my ignorance and lack of knowledge and ask Allah to pardon me for my many mistakes, errors, and sins. I am only someone seeking knowledge and truth and reaching out to my sheikh for guidance and clarity. I do ask that you give me the benefit of the doubt because all of my thoughts, feelings, intent, and meaning cannot be conveyed in this written form, and it is highly possible that some things may be misunderstood. My main intent for writing this letter is for clarification, guidance, and understanding. I have tried my best to convey these issues in light of the current culture in the community, how questions and concerns are generally dealt with, and how things are usually treated within this community. I do not even expect that this letter will get to you, and possibly won't be addressed at all. I must do my part to seek knowledge. I expect that I will be looked down upon and criticized, and my general iman will be questioned. If I am misguided, if I am wrong, if my understandings and beliefs are lame, I only ask that you and your administration treat me how you have stated that you treat your flock. If you are my shepherd and I am the lame lamb, then pick me up and carry me to safety. I try my best to have an open mind and accept truth, even if it be against myself. I pray that there is benefit in this letter and that Allah protects and guides all of us. I am hoping to get a response from you that will answer my questions and concerns. I thank you for your time. May Allah continually bless you and your family. May Allah send countless peace and blessings on Rasulullah, his family, his companions, and his community. As a result of this meeting, people will take many different stances and positions. Most will take the most negative, and post statuses, messages with sideways threats, accuse me of disrespecting Ahl Bayt, my sheikh, and being a kafir and or munafik, calling me Yazid, etc., etc., etc. I was told that I was not removed from the community for asking questions. I was removed from the community for having doubt. I was not removed for committing sins that are punishable by death in an Islamic country. I was not dismissed for continuing grievous sins. I was not removed for violating any community policies. I was not removed for failure to pay community fees. I was not removed for denying Allah or Rasul. I was not dismissed for disrespecting Ahl Bayt nor disobeying administration. The community was told I was dismissed because I had doubt. Consider this. I was removed because of the doubt that was perceived due to the content of my letter. I challenge anybody to investigate and research how Rasulullah dealt with those who had doubt. I will only mention one incident in which the Sahaba, Salman al-Farsi, tested Rasulullah to confirm his prophethood. Salman al-Farsi, radiallahu anh, was a slave and heard that Rasulullah claimed to be a prophet. He had doubt. He first tested him by giving him dates. He first tested him by giving him dates as charity to see that Rasulullah would not eat from charity. He still had doubt. He then gave him dates as a gift to see that Rasulullah would take from gifts. He still had doubt. He then tried to sneak a glimpse of Rasulullah's blessed mark of prophethood, in which Rasulullah lowered his garment so that Salman could see. All his doubts were removed. Salman then took his shahada. This is the same Salman who Rasulullah claimed as part of his Ahl Bayt. If the Sahabas could question the most holy and perfect individual of all time, Rasulullah, then who is above such questioning? Did Rasulullah dismiss Sahaba from Islam when they had questions? Did he insult them? I'm sure the story of Hadrat Khidr alayhi salam and Prophet Musa alayhi salam will be used as support for not asking questions. However, make sure that you keep in mind two very important aspects of that story. In the very beginning, Khidr alayhi salam told Musa alayhi salam not to ask any questions. This was a direct command, whereas Shah Sahib encourages questions and asks for listeners to submit questions and concerns to him all the time. He has said in various discourses, ask any questions you have, you can write them. Is there any questions you wish to ask me? You can tell your seniors. If there are any problems, you're welcome to ask me any questions. I'll give you an opportunity to ask me any questions you like. You may ask me about anything you like, any problems you have, or any suggestions you have. If you have any brief questions or problems, you can ask. If there are any proposals to add, suggestions, questions, or anything, tell me. If you have any questions or need any clarifications, you may ask me. So you cannot use the story of Hadrat Khidr alayhi salam to support not asking questions in our community when Shah Sahib encourages questions and Hadrat Khidr alayhi salam specifically instructed Hadrat Musa alayhi salam not to ask questions. Secondly, even after Hadrat Musa alayhi salam disobeyed and kept asking questions, in the end, Khidr alayhi salam still answered the questions. My questions still have not been answered or addressed to this day. This should be enough support to paint a clearer picture of the situation. I do ask that you do not share this actual letter with anyone. I'm only writing this to help get some things off of my chest and to help you understand, because you are among the few that actually care for truth. I have people that I am related to, grew up with, fought with, struggled with, lived with, etc., etc. And out of all these individuals, you are one of the few people that actually reach out to me. I can count these individuals on my two hands. However, I do not worry because my goal is Allah. I know people will probably cut me off and say negative things about me. I ask that if you feel compelled to defend me or state the truth of the situation, remember the sunnah and make dua for everyone. I have love for everyone in this community and wish the best for everyone. I want Allah to guide and protect all of us. I do not want to fall into the realm of losing my good deeds by discussing certain individuals and actions. I have my own perception of the community and those in it, but I will only discuss that with those who would like to have a productive conversation about it. I will try my best to avoid the age-old gripe session about all the wrongs that have happened and continue to happen in the community. I only want to present a rebuttal and defense to show to those who actually care to listen. You may, however, use any of this knowledge gained from this letter about the situation to stand up for what you believe is right. Many individuals will take different positions based on the ideas of keeping the peace or preventing dissension or similar reasons. However, keep in mind that this is the same reason why the pagans of Mecca wanted to get rid of Islam. The truth of Islam was tearing apart the community. Truth has a tendency to do that. There can be no unity or peace with that which is wrong or false. As Muslims, we do not avoid the truth for the sake of peace. We do not allow people to be slandered for the sake of unity. If something is wrong, we should stop it, speak against it, or hate it in our hearts. We know that hating something in our hearts is the easiest and the less of the three actions. Allah is so great because hating something in your heart long enough will cause us to speak against something. Allah is so great because hating something in our heart long enough will cause us to speak against something and then eventually stop something. I'm not calling for anyone to go out and defend me. Allah is sufficient for my defense, nor should we engage in the negative behavior being displayed by some in regards to this whole fiasco. I hope this letter reminds us of Allah and reminds us to deal with everyone as Rasulullah would deal with them to the best of our ability. Again, I thank you for reaching out to me. If any clarification is needed, please ask, because much is lost in written form and much is misunderstood. Again, I do not enjoin in the negativity and practice, and I practice the Sunnah of Rasulullah, where the more a person would deal with him negatively, the more positively he would deal with them. I will end this response with the same exact words sent to all the administrators who received my letter to Shashab in the first place. I sent this message after being insulted, condemned, slandered, etc. I have recently composed and sent out a letter to Shaji. I was hoping that the letter would be well received and addressed. However, I know that was a high possibility of just the opposite. As the son of Adam alayhi salam, I am not exempt from error. It seems that my quest for clarity has caused offense to the people. That which offends the people also offends the angels, which was never my intentions. I do not apologize for sending a letter to my sheikh. However, I would like to apologize to anyone who was offended by this letter. Abdullah reported the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, abusing a Muslim is an act of wickedness, and killing him is an act of unbelief. O you who have believed, let not a people ridicule another people, perhaps they may be better than them, nor let women ridicule other women, perhaps they may be better than them. And do not insult one another, and do not call each other by offensive nicknames. Wretched is the name of disobedience after one's faith, and whoever does not repent, then it is those who are the wrongdoers. Al-Hujurat 49:11. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So that's both letters. It's kind of eerie reading some of this because, like, even at then, kind of knew what was going on and predicted a lot of things that happened over the last several years. You got to remember, this was written back in 2018. And for those that have been involved in the situation with TMOA, myself, R2F, and different things, you see all this stuff just play out. So if you have any questions, of course, you can contact members of R2F. If you have any concerns, you can email us, message us on WhatsApp, and we hope this was helpful. May Allah guide all of us and make us guides for the people. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.